remember some of my best memories when I was learning to play golf was obviously when I was a junior golfer. And what happens when you're a sort of junior golfer is, and the great thing about sport in general, is that you end up playing with golfers of your sort of ability level. Okay, and what I started to realise is that to be able to get better and to try and catch up the guys that were sort of anything between 3 to 4 years older than me, I'd need to get some sort of distance going. There was one feeling that I remember vividly, only being a young lad, sort of, you know, between the ages of sort of 13-ish, something around there, that one of the golfers sort of said that he worked on as he had a recent golf lesson and the pro taught him to shake hands with the target. Now, for me, I was obviously going to try it, very much like you guys did, and I was really surprised by the results in terms of how much more I was getting distance. And the reason why is a couple of things here, right, which is happening. So for myself at the time, what would have been occurring is I would have been kind of doing something like so, right? So I'd have had a release which looks kind of quite typical of many amateur golfers like this, as opposed to one where you should look more this way. Now, the difference here is the simplicity of the idea of shaking hands is going to do a couple of things. One, when you shake hands, it's going to give you more extension. So it's going to force you to think about extending your arms, and it's going to make your body move more up. And when you start moving more up through the hit with an extension, that basically means you can kind of shallow out that hit, which essentially means you're going to produce kind of like more of a compressing hit. So what I mean by this is, if you imagine I was going to hit like 2 shots here, the first one is like a lob shot. I'd get in the left side and I'd very much hit down on the ball and maximize the loft, and that would just pop the ball up in the air. You imagine this time I'm going to do like a low shot, so I'm going to hinge my wrists and hit more up on it. The latter one is going to produce more compression, it's going to produce less spin, and therefore it's going to go much further. And that's the idea. When you start thinking about shaking hands, you're not going to kind of shake hands like this, you're going to shake hands like this, and that's what it's doing. The second thing it's doing is it's really giving you more leverage. So you can see the way my hands, I'm getting them away from my chest, and again, that encourages good chest turn without thinking about it too much. Okay, again, as opposed to something like this, see the way I've got to turn my chest more, so I get my left shoulder back to allow my right shoulder to come forward to shake hands. And the last one is you've got to square the face. The biggest misconceptions in a lot of golf instruction is you shouldn't close the face using your arms, and that somehow you should be able to just square it with your body. It's just not true. It's just not the information that we see from biomechanics. It's not what we see when you visually look at a golf swing. There's a high rate of closure on the club face. So therefore, you know, most golfers I meet are liberated by the idea that you should use your hands. You have to use your hands to square the club face. So working on the simple concept of shaking hands is going to make a massive difference, as it did for me. It will take you from a short hitter to a long hitter, and it'll make you a much, much better golfer. So work on it. Let me know how you're getting on, and I'll see you soon.